So, we saw the new Halloween movie, and we got some news, guys. Okay, so this is the way we're gonna do it.
Okay.
We're gonna go ahead and give like a pretty non-spoiler review, and then we'll let you guys know when we're gonna go ahead and go into spoiler territory. At this point, in a one word, how would you describe Halloween 2018?
Okay.
Sad.
Pointless.
So we watched Halloween 2018. So this movie is kind of interesting in the respect that it's actually a follow-up to the original 1978 movie. So meaning that there's been 40 years and all the movies that have come after that don't exist anymore, right? So...
No H2O. No resurrection. No curse. No... What is
Season
it?
of the
Halloween
Witch.
2.
Halloween 2. No
Curse of Michael
curse,
Myers.
no revenge, no
Rob Zombie.
Rob
Rob
Zombie.
Zombie.
That's true.
This movie begins 40 years after the original. Laurie Strode comes back as Jamie Lee Curtis comes back as Laurie Strode, and she's pretty much a deranged basket case, living in fear. She has PTSD from that original night in 1978. Her relationship with her daughter, her granddaughter, have kind of been strained due to the stress and due to what she's experienced. And the movie kind of picks up with investigative reporters coming to investigate Michael Myers and her to see if she's talked to him or if anything's happened in that time. And it kind of goes from there. It kind of has like a weird turn and ebb and flow to it. So what's one thing that you guys noticed as you watched it, like leaving the screening?
I'm going to leave all of my comments till the spoiler part because I'm quite passionate about how I felt about it. I literally threw my hands up so many times in the movie, like, what was that? What was the point of that? There were a lot of wrong turns made, I guess. A lot of holes. There were just a lot of holes in that movie that shouldn't have been there. Pointless holes. I think I had a violent reaction to it. No, not quite violent, but I was really upset about how it ended up.
So then I guess we could also segue into it. Like, how does this bring us to, or why we're reviewing it as a nostalgia purpose? We didn't really necessarily grow up during the time of the movies, but we grew up with the time of the movies. I mean, the re-releases and all those are the times that's how we kind of re-related to it. But
well, we grew up being able to watch it at our fingertips. Like, it was attainable for us. It was attainable for us to watch, and Michael Myers was like as weird as it sounds to call him a household name, but it was like that. It's like everybody knew who Michael Myers was, even though they'd never seen Halloween before.
Also, I feel like looking back, it was always like on reruns, like on TNT and like TBS, or like pretty much every Halloween that they would do like the marathons of all the movies. So I think we grew up watching it as kind of like being one of those like quintessential, slasher movies or horror movies from, before we were born, but also growing up with it being as like an archetype for the genre.
Right. Yeah. So it's kind of like when you think of the holy grail of slasher movies, it's Michael Myers, Jason, and Freddy Krueger. Like, that's pretty much who you think of.
He's like the godfather of slasher horror killers, right?
Right.
So now that we've watched the movie and we've seen the new one, we are all coming in different levels of nostalgia for it, right? So for me personally, I grew up really loving it, mostly because it, my dad had it on like one of those old blank VHSs where he recorded it from either the TV or from another tape. And I remember really wanting to watch it when I was little and never really being able to until I got to a certain age. And once I finally watched it, really falling in love with that movie and then just really wanting to see the whole series. And, they go from a varying degree of good to really bad. But along the way, it's still been, pretty much for me, something that I've really loved as I grew up. How is it for you guys?
For me, it's part of the quintessential Halloween experience. Once you're of age to start being able to watch horror movies, or whenever you're allowed to watch horror movies or can sneak them away. I mean, I don't know anybody who's never seen Halloween, at least once, and that's true. He's never seen it all the way through.
The original?
Yeah, I had not really ever seen it all the way through because, again, I know, it's saddening. It's just the whole thing to me, like, I didn't really have any personal attachment to it, or personal attachment to him per se, because, again, I was kind of just, I didn't have really much of a nostalgic, like, take on it. Again, I was kind of shown, and, well, it wasn't really shown. I'd be, like, possibly sneaking over to my cousin's house, and that's when they would watch Child's Play, or they were watching Friday the 13th, or they were watching Nightmare on Elm Street. It was just, those were the type of movies I was really kind of leaned way into, not so much Michael Myers or Halloween in general. So that's why I was like, I'll come into this kind of brand new, kind of with open eyes.
So we grew up with the quintessential trinity of slasher films being Michael Myers, Jason, and Freddy Krueger. And so it's kind of like when you watch one, you kind of watch the others, right? So when you movie marathon, anyone who I know says, let's, have a Halloween marathon, a Halloween movie marathon, and Halloween's not included is kind of like unspoken of. I've never known anybody not to include Halloween in their movie binge.
So now, obviously, us all having different levels of, I guess, nostalgia or fandom for Halloween, I think we all kind of had different takes on the movie, especially after this, the credits started to roll. We all kind of looked at each other afterwards, and it was just funny because it's like, it went from, hey, that was pretty good, to, I wanted to love it more, and
to what the was that?
Yeah.
That's really how I felt about that.
Okay, so again, without getting into too many spoilers, how did you guys feel this version of Halloween, this version of Laurie Strode, this version of Michael Myers kind of stands up to the original?
I mean, 40 years is pretty much a pretty good pinnacle point to go ahead and put on top of this movie. I mean, it definitely does show the age. You're completely taking out everything, of course, in the in-betweens. If you just get the basic story, that's pretty much all you really need. As a direct sequel to 40 years, you can definitely see the gap. It definitely, as a first-time viewer, not really having the kind of pinnacle like stuff being pointed out to you. Overall, it was a pretty decent movie. There were certain things, of course, that could have been left out, could have been done without, but overall, it was pretty enjoying.
As a direct sequel to the first one, if for some reason the world had not evolved at all since 1978 and stayed stagnant in technology, in paranoia, in safety precautions, it would have made complete sense. The movie would have made complete sense because you watch the 1978 version and it's dated. Of course it's dated. At the time, it technically was almost a one-of-a-kind movie because that fear was new. That fear of an intruder, of a crazed maniac coming into your home was a new concept. It was a certain fear. Now that we have home security systems and, the level of safety that we go through nowadays as a culture, something like that doesn't necessarily happen. Or if it does, it's more intense and it's more tragic, and it's almost like to the fault of the homeowner for not, for not being prepared. To me, the movie cannot be forgiven for all of those mistakes. So for it following up the initial movie as a dated film, it does a good job, I think. For it being this day and age, that movie does not fit our world. And we have become too clever of an audience to let it pass.
As a direct sequel and having so much time pass, I feel like what they could have done is one of two things. They could have either completely gone for the fan service and just make it like, pretty much make it almost exactly like the old movie and give the fans what they really wanted, a lot of blood and gore, and like make it look kind of 70s-ish and just go full force in the fan service. Or they could have done it to where they scaled it back a little bit, giving us more of like, I guess like a It Follows kind of feel, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like they're trying to almost make an homage to the original. I guess that they could have made it to where it was a little bit more grounded and had more of a realistic feel and more serious tone, where you really had that feeling that, you know, Laurie and Michael were going to go head to head.
Yeah, there's no reason that this film couldn't have been slightly art house. There's no reason that it couldn't have been made with a certain level of sophistication, and that's what I kind of went in it assuming it would be, because we've had so many horror movies come out that are so beautiful and haunting, like The Witch and Hereditary, and even the Conjuring films, extra franchise aside, but like the core films, you know, things like that. I expected more from this film.
And I feel like, again, they could have either given us what we wanted, or they could have completely subverted what we were thinking we were going to get. Not in the way that they did it, but like in a way to where it's like, you watch and you're like, well, I didn't think that was going to go that way at all.
Yeah.
But it was so much better because it was so different and it pulled you in a different direction than what you were expecting.
Right. We've said it before. We tend to watch Chris Stuckman's reviews on his films, on movie reviews, and we waited till after we watched this movie to watch his review. He felt exactly the way I felt, and I think you felt,
yeah.
And the way Steven grew to feel. Like he called. I mean, he blatantly says that there's a lot of red herrings, and there are. Like, that's exactly what they are. That's exactly what they are. They are plot lines that totally look like they hold tons of merit and tons of context, could very possibly be a really good spin, and then fall completely flat, go completely nowhere, or have some sort of cop-out ending. That happens at least 3 times in the movie. Like, blatantly. The comedy in that movie was unnecessary. Like, sometimes there's comedy in movie and it's well placed and it's great, and it's like, you know what? It's awesome. There was probably only one part in there that was legitimately funny that I was like, you know what? That's really good.
It goes with what's happening.
Yes, and it's probably part of the 20 minutes of the film that I was really into. I, like, from the whole movie, it totally went, like, goes up, it goes up, it goes up, it plateaus a while, it goes up a little more, then it just goes like a kiddie ride. Like, it is just lame. Like, it was bad. It was just, I didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. There was a good 20 minutes in there where I was like, oh, I think we turned towards each other and we're like, I like this movie a lot more now.
It's getting better. I think I'm on board now.
Yeah, and we're like, yeah. And then all of a sudden it just like, and we're like, oh, fuck.
We thought we were on.
Yeah. And it sucks because I think this was the first time in a movie you and I were not sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
You were like over here at the end, and then our friend Lisa was here, and I really wanted to sit next to Oscar, make sure to sit next to him, because Halloween is his favorite Halloween horror movie of all time. So I wanted to see his genuine reaction
To the whole thing.
to the whole thing. And there were a lot of times I could see Oscar like I think I was like the whole time. There's literally parts in that movie that I saw before. Literally saw before. If they were supposed to be throwbacks, they did a bad job of it. Like, it was too overdone. It was too in your face. It was too verbatim. It was just too much.
Yeah, they weren't left as Easter eggs. There were things that were obvious to pick up on, and it's just, again, like you were saying, it's audiences today will it's not like we don't see that coming, we don't see where it's going, and then to kind of do it like a step by step or a shot for shot remake or homage to what came before, that's not necessarily needed for a movie like this. I don't know.
No.
I definitely felt like once the credits had rolled, I left feeling that I wanted to love it and I didn't want to hate it. But as soon as like it's like you start replaying in your mind and you're like, okay, well, where did that go? Where did that, there's so many things that, like, I think like Chris Suckman would say, like, there were throwaways. Something would start up, and then as soon as it started, it was done, and it just didn't go anywhere.
I also feel really bad for how I reacted. So, like, it's not like I came out of there screaming, but I was literally, like, just shaking my head and not saying anything until I was asked. But I think what I said was so strong in what I said that these guys were like, yeah. Like, it was, like, not that I meant to influence you or anything, but I was just so mad. Like,
but it did kind of go that way because, again, I came out, I was like, yeah, it's not that bad. And then I heard you both go, oh, that was bad. I'm like, did we both witness the same thing? But then you guys started planning out. I'm like,
but
okay.
You know what? I think it's okay. I mean, of course it's okay with your initial reaction, because you said that you weren't initially attached to this movie. I wonder, and if there's a viewer out there, let me know, who feels genuinely attached to the original horror franchise. Not even the franchise, just the movie, the first movie alone. What did you think of it? Please, like, down in the comments, let us know why you loved it. Because I really feel like I need to watch it again. But I came out of there feeling really insulted that the kinds of things that they got away with in that movie, or actually just blatantly did, was something that was okay 20 years ago, but not now. Like, it was uncalled for. It was like, no. We've done that. Been there, done that. You need a new spin on this now. And I was really excited to see what kind of new spin today would bring to a classic. And I was very let down.
Alright guys, so I feel like at this point we can kind of start to maybe head into spoiler territory, but before we do that, think about what you would rate it. Out of 5 stars, how many stars would you give it?
2.
Initially?
Initially, yeah.
Because I came out, was like,
Because I think you hated it. I was like trying to hold on to it, and it's like I can't hold on to it. So yeah, I think you initially saw it and you were like, I liked it. It was okay. After you finished watching it, from someone who, again, doesn't have that like clear like nostalgia for it, or like you're now holding it to like the super high esteem. What did you think of it?
I held it as an 8.
Yeah.
Pretty much not like all the way great because...
So that's like 4 stars.
Yeah.
And I think I was like 2.5. Like 2.5 stars. Middle of the road. Hopefully it won't go down any more than that, because I think as soon as I finish it, I wanted it to be a 3. It's going to a 2.5 just because of everything that we're going to talk about in this later half of the video. So at this point, if you're watching this video and you haven't seen the movie and you don't want to be spoiled, now's the time to go ahead and click off. This has been a review. Go ahead and like and subscribe, and go ahead and leave a comment. If you loved it, let us know why you loved it. If you kind of feel like the way we do, go ahead and also let us know that we're not crazy. Because there's been so many reviews come out and everyone seems to love it.
And we really like watched those reviews and we're like, did we watch the same movie?
And we went to a pre-screening of it also. So it's kind of like, because of that, I think it's like, in my mind, I'm like, maybe we didn't see the final cut.
Yeah.
But I think we did.
Yeah.
So, definitely let us know that we're not crazy. Alright guys, so that was our spoiler-free review. Now we're actually going to get into the meat of it all. Because I think pretty much it was really hard to just not talk about the things we hated. Yeah. Because now we're going to the spoilers, right? So,
first of all, let's talk about how it starts. The purpose of the beginning of the movie was for nothing other than building tension. Building anxiety. To get you like... to get you like, like that's all it was, and it wasn't done, to me it wasn't done super well. Like, it wasn't believable. It's like, that wouldn't fucking happen.
Yeah, so the beginning part is where the investigative reporters are going to go interview him, and they have his mask. Right. And they're kind of trying to bait him almost to react to it. And while that's happening, everyone's kind of going nuts around him. And surprise, surprise, he just kind of just stays there and doesn't do anything. right? So pretty much that whole scene was building up to nothing.
It was building up to the title card.
To the title card. And it kind of felt, I think at
I would
that
have
point...
liked it more if it just started with the title card.
I kind of felt bad because I felt like at that point I'm like, oh, that wasn't that cool. Is this the way this movie's gonna go? And then it went to the title card. I'm like, I have a bad feeling about this. And then it showed like again as an homage to how the other one opened, where it showed instead of a pumpkin, I guess
like zooming into the pumpkin.
It was like a pumpkin that had already been shriveled up and already started to decay, and it's slowly reversing back. And there was something about that also that looked too crisp and too nice and just not. It was weird. It wasn't. I don't know. Not believable is the right word. It looked too slick for some reason to me. Even the opening credits to me, I was like, I couldn't get behind. Okay, so after that, they go pretty much straight to Laurie. And how do we feel Laurie's portrayed in this movie? Because she's obviously changed then from the first movie.
Does it go straight to Laurie?
Yeah. They're in the car and they're driving straight to Laurie.
Oh, that's right. They're going to where Laurie is now, because they already got this. They already got what they needed from Michael, which was science.
Nothing.
And his doctor, which is supposed to be the person. Well, it was supposed to be Loomis's predecessor. So they're doing this investigative report, and they go to get Laurie's point of view, and they drive into the forest to like this deserted area. They get to this gate and they buzz for her, and basically they're like, they ask for her, and she's like, basically, what do you want? And she doesn't budge until they offer her $3,000, and then she buzzes them in and they go in, and it's kind of like
you could have felt there would have been more than just money involved, or possibly something else that would have been thrown on the line, especially from two investigators like that.
And I mean, I feel like to offer someone $3,000 to go try and bait the person that tried and killed you 4 years ago isn't enough.
There's a lot of damages to more than that.
It just felt kind of like it felt like a cheap way of trying to get her back into the story.
Laurie's character, to me, was a Sarah Connor ripoff. That's pretty much what it was. This woman who has in her mind built up the day that Michael Myers is coming back to try and kill her, and she's gonna be 10 steps ahead of him. So she has hoarded this insane amount of armory and ammo, everything that you can think of in this weird shelter in her house. And she's prepared and she's ready for it, but she Sarah Connors the shit out of everything, pretty much.
She creates a little bunker in a little panic room under her house type of thing, where she stores all her armory and...
Right. But at the same time, her attitude is of... There was something about it that didn't match. Her actions were of a paranoid person, but her attitude and her demeanor wasn't. She wasn't exactly a recluse, because she went out to go visit her family. She went out, she was totally, all it took was $3,000 for these two people who she never met before to come and talk to her. She let them into her house after literally just, the mention of Michael Myers. She wasn't no comment or nothing like that. It just didn't make sense. Also, there's mention of the fact that her daughter was taken away from her when her daughter was 11 or 12. And so therefore, that's why they have an estranged relationship. That also doesn't make sense to me, because a woman who was literally had her child taken away from her, they feel that a child is in danger with the mother. And if they actually investigated the house, would have found all that stuff, the woman would have been committed. It just doesn't make sense. It's okay, she had built up in her mind she had gotten this way in her own mental institution or something like that, then maybe I would have bought it. But
still, it would have been straight up Sarah Connor.
That was one hole. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like it also it just messed her character up in the sense to where anytime she was interacting with her family, which we'll kind of get into also, it felt almost uncomfortable for her to be, interacting with her. Those scenes where she's interacting with her daughter and her granddaughter, and then the daughter's husband, it just feels like uncomfortable to watch.
It's weird, the development of some of the characters. Like, her daughter is supposed to be this woman who's estranged from her mother, but
we don't gain any attachment. We don't sympathize with her whatsoever.
No,
we don't.
But her interaction with her mother isn't someone who feels that estranged. It feels like maybe they talk like once a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the fact that the granddaughter is constantly asking about the grandmother, Laurie, is constantly asking about Laurie, is she gonna come? Is she gonna come? This and that, she seems like she wants her in her life. That means that there has to have been some sort of interaction along the way, rather than a mother who has taught her daughter to pretty much, to completely deter her from her grandmother. You know what I mean? I don't know. It just didn't make sense.
Alright, so how did we feel about the new characters that were added to the movie? Like, we have the daughter, we have the granddaughter, we have the husband of the daughter, we have the granddaughter's boyfriend and all the people that she brings with them. Were they even necessary?
No. I think we could have done without them. I think necessarily, in comparison, it's funny because comparing it to Stuckman, he mentioned he had seen, and it's weird because it's a kiddie film. It's straight up a story you hear about, in comparison, not really comparing apples to oranges, like grapefruit to bad fruit. Carrie, going straight to am I going to ask somebody out to the prom? We're going to go through that phase. Why do we necessarily have to grow attachment to these characters? We don't. They're not really necessarily important to the story. Are we supposed to grasp to be hey, we are them? No.
I feel like it felt like they were trying to usher in a new generation to this franchise. Kind of like if they were going to keep it going, now the daughter is going to be the new Laurie. And, Laurie's the new, older generation like Loomis, where they could keep it going and they can make it almost like a generational thing. Which, to me, I had no, compassion or even I didn't even feel like the daughter was an interesting character to watch.
Yeah.
I felt like all the drama that she brought with her friends from the school dance and her boyfriend drama, it just kind of deterred from the movie. Mm-hmm. It was just to add more bodies to the body count, and it felt like filler, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's really sad in the sense that, again, all that time could have been filled with maybe some actual, family drama to where they could have brought in, they could have brought them in just to show how much there's been a void for Laurie, it's how much it's affected her, and how much once she battles down with Michael, that can kind of, she can kind of be healed from it, type of thing. Yeah. It's to kind of give more evidence to how she's, how much PTSD or how much it's affected her from that first, movie.
First encounter. And even that, so it could have been gone. And not gone, but it could have gone to the point of being a Me Too movement. Then that's when I would have believed it. Mm-hmm. Then this, not so much, because it's more people involved. It's usually just the person and the attacker.
Right.
I'm usually thinking comparison possibly to Enough with Jennifer Lopez.
I hate that movie too.
Sorry.
Yeah, so it's been said that this movie's a supposed to be a Me Too movement film. If that were so, like you were saying, it needed to have been more Michael Laurie head to head. It should have. The majority of the movie, 70% of the movie should have been that.
If she had been kind of she knew that he had escaped and she was trying to track him down, and every step of the way she's missed him, and it's kind of that kind of build up to where, okay, there's finally going to be a head to head, but he keeps escaping or she keeps, they keep missing each other. And as he's missing each other, there's a body count growing in that neighborhood,
Yeah.
I think it tried they tried to show that she was like tracking his every move, like she knew where he was at every moment in time.
The point. Well, sorry.
Yeah, like she knew they were moving him. She knew that they were transferring him, and once he was going to be transferred, he was going to be locked away forever. Like they make mention to that, but it's for the level of way that they build up her character, had to have hoarded all this stuff and her to be like prepared. She was more calm than I assumed she would be. You know what I mean? I don't know. To me, the Laurie in the previews was more frantic than the Laurie in the movie.
Yeah. So the comedy in the movie also felt kind of shoehorned in. It didn't even feel like it was organically part of the script. It felt like they had a lot of maybe time to fill.
Yeah.
So they would add in all these little extra jokes from side characters like the cops.
Those two
or
cops.
The dad.
Like two bumbling cops that you knew were gonna die. Like
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. The dad, who was I'm assuming supposed to be the main comic relief. His jokes were completely like they were ill-placed and just like you grew annoyed with him, and I was literally just like, can you kill him already? Just hurry up and die. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
But then, honestly, even to add to his body count, like, his kill wasn't even that most satisfying. Like...
It was just really a quick one.
Yeah, Mike got him and choked him out.
And it was weird because it's like, that was such a quick thing, but then, like...
Everybody else.
Yeah, like, pointless characters got really gruesome deaths. And then, also to top it off, like, they introduce a doctor character, which is supposed to be...
I hate
the new Loomis, according to Laurie.
I hate that
she
that
flat
line.
out comes and says it.
You're the new Loomis,
oh,
right?
You're the new Loomis. It's like...
Something that we could have said.
Yeah.
Or the fans...
No,
like,
it didn't need to be said. Obviously, he's... I don't know. It's like...
So, pretty much, he has, like, a little side plot where he kills...
Not even developed.
Yeah.
It's all internally. Like, we're supposed to go along with it.
It's probably like a 10-minute thing where one of the cops that's been helping, I think, Laurie throughout the whole movie. So this cop character has been a character from the beginning of the movie, has like a real pointless death because of this stupid doctor who eventually gets killed off in like the next 5 minutes anyways. It just felt like...
The whole point of that doctor
was a throwaway.
was so that he could get the granddaughter to where Laurie is.
And
like, that was
there
the
could have
only
been,
point.
They could have done that another way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, obviously we've been hating on the movie so far. What's something that we liked about it? Because I feel like we kind of have to also give the other side of the coin.
The only one...
The little kid.
The little kid,
fucking
right?
kid.
The little kid and the babysitter. I feel like...
Yeah, like...
Okay, that was a good homage.
Yeah.
The babysitting scene was good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if we have to say that any of her character friends needed to be there, it was the friend, the boyfriend, for that to happen, because that was fine.
Yeah.
And...
But he was the one at the beginning who gave the throwaway line. Which everybody was like, well, when they come into this movie, they're like, oh, well, how are Laurie and Michael connected? He had the throwaway line of, oh, because people mistaken them for being brother and sister.
It's like, okay, you know how in The Force Awakens, where when this whole time we've been assuming that Rey is part of the Jedi lineage, Luke's granddaughter or something, and all of a sudden Kylo Ren comes out and is like, so it's not like you're the granddaughter or anything, like flat says it. That's what, like, it was, there's a lot of like stuff like that in there. I feel like Laurie Strode's character had a lot of moments, like we were like, yeah, we're super hyped up to see her and stuff like that. But the stuff that she did was not what she should have done to fulfill the legacy of her character. Like the way Luke didn't fulfill the legacy of his character. You know? Like, do You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to compare it to Star Wars, but
What else? Is there anything else that we liked about it? I think again that little part where it's Halloween night and you see him going from house to house and he's just like killing.
he is killing. That was awesome.
And I was thinking that that's the way it was going to end up going, where it was almost like they were going to have like this like almost neighborhood completely taken out.
It was kind of like a countdown. Like it would have been kind of cool if you would have like it would have been like shot to where it's like Laurie getting ready to go hunt him down, and then it's like Michael, one house, two house down, Laurie getting everything in the truck, getting ready to like four house, five house down. Like if it would have and then by the time she gets there, he wipes out the whole neighborhood.
And he's gone. And then it's like, well, where is he?
he?
And then just trying to figure out the next neighborhood. I don't know. It could have gone a lot of different ways, right? And to me, that would have been like the more fan servicey slasher route, which would have been amazing.
It could have been cool because they could have had a very like kind of almost like a Western show off where it's like, oh, totally like street full of dead people, just them too, and you know maybe I don't know like.
So you would have taken them out.
It was. This whole movie felt like just a big missed opportunity.
Yeah.
So, that's been our review.
We talk more about it on the podcast too, so please go listen to that episode.
Yeah. We've unofficially titled the podcast The Halloween Haters. So, go ahead and listen to our podcast for October. We do kind of talk about our Halloween traditions, and we talk about the stuff that we like to do, our old Halloween costumes that we had as kids. So that's also some good fun in there. Anything you guys want to add before we go? Would you say that they should go watch the movie for themselves to kind of make their own decisions?
Yeah, I would say go
watch it.
Go watch it for your own selves. I personally was taking it away as going possibly to spend as little money as possible to, you know,
it may be $1 movie.
Try to see it and spend as little money as possible. Just not to spend as much money to make this have a part 2. That's all.
It's
gonna have a part 2. You don't see. Yeah.
Hey, we're on a spoiler part.
Yeah, you don't see him die.
You don't see him die.
You see him in the burning basement, but that's about it. So
looking up, and then
Halloween 2, 2020 will be coming out soon.
There's so many different parts in that movie that we've seen so many times. It's like
the next one will be set in a hospital. Mark my words. So that's been our review. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. And thanks for being a viewer. Leave any comments about how you liked it. We've already said this before, but you know, since you've watched it, go ahead and leave a comment saying what you thought about it. Well, I'm Oscar.
I'm Jenny.
And I'm Bugs.
Stay classic, guys.